For a long time, I thought I was just bad at manifesting. Like, I'd done the vision boards, I read the books, I watched every Neville Goddard breakdown on YouTube, and the one thing that kept coming up, the thing that everyone said was the most powerful technique, was this idea of falling asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel it real, live in the end, drift off into that state. And I would try every night. I would get into bed, close my eyes, and start imagining the life I wanted, the version of myself that I was stepping into, and then one of two things would happen. Either my brain would immediately start running a to-do list, replaying a conversation from earlier, jumping to something I forgot to do, just completely hijacking the whole thing. Or I'd actually relax and just fall asleep straight before anything landed. And I remember thinking, like, is this just not for me? Am I doing something wrong? Because clearly other people are getting results from this and I am lying here, unconscious. What I didn't know then, and what I want to talk about today, is that I wasn't doing it wrong. I just didn't have the right tool to get there. And that tool is hypnosis. Hey, I'm Cola. Welcome to Clarity with Cola. I am a certified hypnotherapist, and this channel is where we talk about the brain, the subconscious mind, and the real mechanics of change. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here since Vivid Reality, welcome back. We're going deeper now. Let's get into it. So let's start with the foundation. What is a SATS technique and why has it become such a cornerstone of manifestation work? SATS stands for State Akin to Sleep. It comes from Neville Goddard, a mystic and teacher who was writing and speaking in the 1940s and 50s. And his core teaching was this: your outer world is a reflection of your inner assumptions. Whatever you believe to be true about yourself and your life, consciously or not, your reality will confirm it. So the work, according to Neville, isn't about taking 100 action steps. It's about changing the assumption at the root, changing the story your subconscious is running. And his most powerful method for doing that? SATS. The instruction is simple. As you're falling asleep in that drowsy, drifting, not quite awake, not quite asleep window, you enter a scene. Not a vision board, not a list of specific things that you want. A specific first-person scene that implies your desire is already done, already real, and you feel it. You feel the emotions of that reality as if you're already living it. Your dream job. Feel what Monday morning feels like when that's your life. Your dream relationship. Feel what it's like to roll over and see that person there. Whatever it is, you're not wishing for it, you're inhabiting it. And you drift off to sleep from inside that feeling. That's SATS. Simple in theory, harder in practice. And there's a very specific neurological reason why. Here's where the science comes in, and honestly, this is the part that made everything click for me. Your brain operates at different frequencies depending on your state of consciousness. When you're fully awake, alert, moving through your day, you're mostly in beta. Beta is great. It's analytical, it's focused, it's productive, but it's also guarded. Your conscious mind in beta is essentially a fact checker. It takes incoming information and runs it against everything you already believe, and if something doesn't match, it gets filtered out. This is why you can repeat affirmations all day and feel like nothing's changing. Your beta brain is sitting there going, yeah, that's not true though. But as you start to relax, as you move towards sleep, your brain shifts into alpha first, which is the calm, meditative state, and then deeper into theta. Theta is the state between wakefulness and sleep. It's what you're in during deep meditation. It's what you're in during hypnosis. And it's what you're in during that exact drowsy window Neville was describing, the state akin to sleep. In theta, that critical filter drops. The bouncer steps away from the door, and your subconscious becomes highly receptive, almost like wet cement. Whatever emotional experience you have in that state gets absorbed directly. It doesn't go through the fact checker, it just lands. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this extensively. He describes it as moving from thinking to being. When you're in beta, you're thinking about the life you want. When you drop into theta, you can start to be that version of yourself, even for just a few minutes. And your nervous system begins to encode that as a real experience. Because here's the wild part. In theta, your brain cannot fully distinguish between a vividly felt imagined experience and something that actually happened. The emotional and neurological imprint is the same. This is the science behind why SATS works when it works. And it's also the science behind why hypnotherapy works. So if theta is so powerful, why can't most people just do this on their own? Because getting into theta intentionally is genuinely hard. So when Neville said, feel it real, he was literally describing what theta allows your brain to do. He just didn't have an fMRI machine in 1944. This is the science behind why SATS works when it works. And it's also the science behind why hypnotherapy works. So if theta is so powerful, why can't most people just do this on their own? Because getting into theta intentionally is genuinely hard. Your nervous system is wired for alertness, for survival, for scanning. So the moment you lie down and try to relax on purpose, your brain often does the opposite. It starts generating thoughts, replaying scenarios, running anxiety loops. That's beta doing its job. And even if you manage to relax past that, the window between alpha and theta is narrow. Most people either stay too alert to go deep enough, or they just relax so completely that they just fall asleep and lose consciousness before they can do any intentional work in that state. That was my exact experience for years. I was either too in my head to drop down, or I was gone before I could do anything with it. And this is the gap that hypnosis fills. Okay, so before I tell you how hypnosis bridges that gap, I want to address what hypnosis is not, because there is so much noise around this word. Hypnosis is not mind control. Nobody is going to make you cluck like a chicken against your will unless you're doing a stage show and you volunteer for that. You are conscious and in control during hypnosis the entire time. Hypnosis is not sleep. Even though it can look like sleep from the outside, you're in a deeply relaxed, highly focused state, not unconscious. And hypnosis is not magic. It's not a parlor trick. It's a clinically studied, evidence-based practice used in pain management, anxiety reduction, behavior change, performance enhancement. The research is extensive. So what is it? Hypnosis is a guided process of moving your brainwave state from beta into alpha and theta intentionally with a specific purpose, while keeping your conscious awareness present enough to receive and absorb suggestion. You are relaxed but aware, deeply inward but not asleep. And in that state, your subconscious is open in a way it almost never is in waking life. That's it. That's the whole thing. A skilled hypnotherapist is essentially a guide who walks you to the door that you've been trying to find on your own and holds it open long enough for something new to walk through. So here's how it all connects. When Neville prescribed SATS, drifting off in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he was describing an experience in the theta state. That's where the work actually happens. That's where the subconscious absorbs new assumptions and starts to treat it as it's real. A guided induction is specifically designed to walk your nervous system down, step by step, from the chatter of beta through the calm of alpha and into the receptive depth of theta. And it keeps you there, suspended in the state long enough to do intentional work, to feel the new story, to let it land in the body, not just in the mind. So think of hypnosis as a structured, supported way to do what Neville was prescribing, but with precision. Instead of hoping you catch the window before you fall asleep, you're guided right into it and held there. That's why this works. That's why people who have been trying to manifest for years through vision boards and affirmations suddenly start seeing real movement when they start doing this kind of inner work, because they're finally getting the message to the part of the mind that actually runs the show. I came to hypnotherapy through my own frustration, which I told you about at the top. But what I didn't tell you is what actually happened once I actually experienced it. The first time I went through a real guided induction, I understood immediately why I had been struggling, because I dropped into a state I had never been able to access on my own. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't anything like you see in the movies. It was just quiet in a way my mind almost never is. And in that quiet, things shifted. Old beliefs I didn't even know I was carrying started to surface and soften. The story I had been telling myself about who I was and what I was capable of, it started to feel less fixed, less permanent. I had spent 8 years in the tech industry feeling like I had to hustle my way through everything, running on anxiety and caffeine and sheer force of will. And I had gotten good at performing okay. But underneath that, I was exhausted. I was stuck in patterns I couldn't think my way out of. And hypnotherapy gave me a way to go underneath the thinking, to actually update the programming instead of just arguing with it from the surface. And once I experienced that, I needed to be able to give it to other people. That's what led me to get certified. And that's what led me here. So if any of this is resonating, if you've been in the same loop I was in, trying to do this work on your own and feeling like you keep missing something, I want you to know there's a way to get support on this. I do one-on-one hypnotherapy sessions through my practice, Remind Wellness. We go deep on whatever you're carrying: anxiety, stuck patterns, self-concept work, identity shifts. These are personalized private sessions and we go at your pace. You can book directly at remindwellness.us. The link is in the description. And if you're not ready to book yet, totally fine. Get on my mailing list through the site. I share tools, practices, and insight that you're not going to just find just scrolling. No spam, no fluff, just real stuff. Now, in the next video, I'm going to take you into the state myself. I'm going to guide you through a real hypnosis induction, the kind I use with my clients, and walk your brain from full waking consciousness all the way down into theta so you can feel it from the inside, not just understand it conceptually. Because once you know what that state actually feels like in your body, everything I've talked about today is going to land completely different. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if this video made something click for you, share it. Send it to someone who's been trying to do this work and feeling stuck. That's how this community grows. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.